Hi, I'm Angela Krile, CEO of Krile Communications. Welcome to Leading Joyfully, conversations with leaders that enlighten and inspire. Join us as we dig into the challenges faced, the inspiration fostered, and the joy, both expected and unexpected, that's discovered along the journey of leading. Welcome back, fellow leaders. Today we have Dee Anders. Dee is the CEO and Executive Director for the Ronald McDonald House Charities of Central Ohio, the largest Ronald McDonald House in the world. Under her leadership, it grew to 206 guest rooms, so 206 families can be served at a time at this beautiful house that we have in Columbus, Ohio. They also have rooms at Riverside Methodist Hospital, Big Lots Pavilion at Nationwide Children's, and soon to have one at St. Anne's. So growing and changing all the time. She spent 9 years in development and art studio gallery director for Goodwill Columbus, was YMCA Community Affairs Director and the leader of Kids Speak for a program for the city of Columbus, and was a partner in her own consulting firm doing capital campaigns and nonprofit events. So please help me welcome Dee Anders here today to talk about leading joyfully.
Thank you.
So Dee, you and I know each other, but not super well. So and I've never heard how you landed at the Ronald McDonald House. Can you share a little bit about that journey with me?
Yeah, it's a crazy story. Probably not your typical path that anyone would take, but my daughter had come home. She just graduated from law school and was looking for a job, and she was searching on the internet for a site, and this job popped up, the Ronald McDonald House job, and I said, "Wow, I've always loved that logo. I'm going to apply for that job."
It was a logo.
Yes, it was a logo, and I, put my name in it, and never even had a second thought about leaving Goodwill Columbus. I love that job. I love that organization and everything about it. And I got a call from the hospital, and they said, "Well, why don't you just come down and see the place?" And I went down, and I fell in love with the house when I walked in it. I was just like, darn it, I really love this too. And I turned it down a couple times, but the gentleman who was doing the hiring for the house said, "You've done good work at Goodwill. Why don't you come here and do some good work?" And I thought, okay, I'm going to give it a shot. And it ended up being a really great decision.
How long have you been there?
17 years.
17 years.
Yeah.
You've met a lot of families in that time.
Yes.
Including my baby cousin who had just left there with a brand new heart. I know. What a beautiful, beautiful thing. On New Year's Day, she got her new little heart.
Lots of good stories come out of that place.
I can't imagine.
Yeah.
Can you tell me how you find joy? Because sometimes there's sadness in the work that you do. So what do you do when those sad moments happen to kind of reclaim your joy and energy in your leadership?
Yeah. When I took the job, I wondered about that too. I thought, oh my gosh, there's going to be a lot of sadness in this place. And so I went over and talked to Steve Allen, who at the time was the CEO of the hospital. And he said, "We have lots more good stories than sad stories." And I said, okay, I get that. And so when there is a sad situation at the house, the thing that gives everybody strength in the house is just to go downtown or downstairs, sit in the kitchen and talk to a family, and you feel all the hope that they have and how strong they are, and you're just like, wow, I'm not having a bad day. Like, this is the greatest place to be on earth. And what they're going through, they might be having a challenging day, but I'm not having a bad day. So go back upstairs and get things done.
It's like you return to your mission.
Yes.
Find the people
they charge you right back up. They are so strong. They're heroes.
When you have grown close to a family and they leave, what happens? Do you stay in touch with them?
So technically, we're not supposed to stay in touch with families. If there's not a business reason, we really can't do that. But what we do have a lot of times at the house are return visitors. So we know at some point they're coming back and we'll get to see them again. And I know, there's families that I've seen their kids grow up over 17 years and they're still coming to the house. There was a little girl that came when she was probably, 3 or 4 years old, and she's still to this day coming to the house, and she's out of high school. And, she's getting ready to kind of age out of our care. But at the house, if you are still seeing a pediatric doctor or under pediatric doctor's care, you can still come. But so if I'm there much longer, we're going to start to see some of those kids that are over 18,
Yes,
21.
Absolutely. In 17 years of directing a staff, how many employees does the house have?
We have about 60 employees right now. They're not all full-time, but about 60.
So you have employees and then you have volunteers, lots of volunteers.
Hundreds and hundreds and thousands even of volunteers. Yeah.
Lots of
They
volunteers.
run the house.
Is there anyone that you've watched grow or that maybe you've mentored in that time and you've been especially proud of the journey that they went on with you and then sort of took after you?
Yeah. There's actually probably two people, but Angie that has worked with me for like close to 18 years. She actually came with me from Goodwill. She stayed there a little bit longer, but then came over, and she had just graduated from college when I first met her, and I saw her blossom into, she's got great leadership skills. I've seen her lead her team. She's just such a professional, and I'm so proud of her.
What has she taught you?
Oh my gosh, she's taught me a lot of stuff. She's just taught, I would say she's one of the kindest people I've ever met, and she's taught me kindness, and she's taught me patience, and because I wasn't a very patient person, and she's just very, very stable and very patient, and I've learned many things from her, but patience and kindness, and
do you think
she's a genuine soul?
Do you think patience is a skill or is it like a natural thing?
It's hard.
Because I wasn't sure if there were things that you can do to improve your patience. I need that if there are.
Yes. I had a boss at one point that always would say to me, Dee, practice the pause. And that was practice, patience. That's what that was. And just like take a minute, step back, breathe, think about it, look at everybody's point of view before you even react.
Mm-hmm. I hear that a lot from folks.
You get practice the pause too?
Yes, practice the pause. Definitely a skill. So you mentioned a leader that taught you that. Is there some leader in your life that really impacted you and influenced you? And in what way?
Can I have three?
You can have as many as you want.
So I have three then. Let's go with three.
Okay.
Because I've had three that have really taught me a lot. Jerry Garver, he worked as the CEO of the YMCA of Central Ohio. And Jerry, I was young when I started working with Jerry, and Jerry taught me how important relationships were, genuine relationships, and get to know the person and really understand them and make them a friend. He said, relationships were what it was really about. So I learned that from Jerry. And then when I went to Goodwill Columbus, I worked for Jim Paleo, and he was so passionate. And he would say, you got to have the fire in your belly.
I've heard that too.
Yes. And that's what that man, he was an Italian. He was a fireball. And I learned from him, like, if you don't have passion for what you're doing, then you're not doing the right thing. But I loved working with Jim Paleo. And then probably the third person is Paul Thompson, who I worked for at the Ronald McDonald House. And he taught me to never give up. Like that man had tenacity like nobody else. And if you couldn't get it done in the typical manner that something would be done, be creative, but don't take no for an answer. I mean, he never took no for an answer. He got everything that he wanted to accomplish done. And so I tried to be more like him.
So relationships, passion, and perseverance.
Yes.
Those are the three things.
Yep.
Do you feel like you practice those in your own leadership?
I do. Yeah, I try to make sure that, folks at the house understand relationships are really important. And especially in fundraising and then working with families, like you genuinely have to have a good relationship to make things work. And we can't take no for an answer because we have too many families that are depending on us to make sure that things are happening. So that's how we ended up being the largest Ronald McDonald House in the world. We had a lot of families in Central Ohio that needed us, and so we're going to continue to grow and meet that mission as long as we can.
What was your biggest obstacle in that campaign?
Oh my gosh.
Well, I know there were probably a lot.
There were so many. I had done a lot of campaigns in my career because I had, a business doing capital campaigns for a while. But this one, we kicked it off the week before COVID shut the world down.
Oh my gosh.
The week before.
I forgot that.
Yes. That week. And, we had everything in place. We had meetings set up and boom, COVID shut the world down. So, and being a healthcare sort of industry that we were in, we took care of families who had a child in the hospital. We couldn't shut down. So we had to change every single process that we had to run the Ronald McDonald House in the family rooms just to keep this, just to keep going, We had to check families in differently. We had to make sure that the house was cleaned in a different way. We had to feeding families, right now we have a beautiful dining space, but we had to feed families in their rooms. Like, we had, we do right now and did have the ability to have volunteers in the building, but that was cut off immediately. No volunteers in the building. So we had, a small staff. We cooked, we cleaned. We weren't sure how we were going to feed people. So we planted a garden. None of us had any idea what we were doing. But we had an award-winning garden that year. Franklin Park Conservatory gave us an award. That's how we fed families. But all of that happened. It was just it was like the perfect storm. It all came together at the same time. It was like COVID shut things down. People weren't going to their offices. So we had a hard time meeting with people that we were going to be asking for gifts. We couldn't share the plans technically of what we were doing other than in a drawing. And it's kind of hard to share your passion, when you're virtual all the time. So the fundraising was a little more challenging, but we were successful. A lot of people, just stopped their campaigns. They put a pause on them. We decided that this wasn't something that we could do. We needed that space and we were going to move forward. So we did. We ended up raising the money that we started out to raise. And then when we went to bid the job out again, we'd already done that, with all of the supply chain issues and the labor shortages. Of course, the price went up. So we had to go out and raise more money. And then we had to try to build the building. And, I had been involved a little bit on the building side, but now it was like, you're it. You lead this building of this expansion that's going to double the size of your building. So you're it. And I learned about all kinds of things that I'd never learned about before, all kinds of things that I had no idea. But, you stuck with it. We had lots of people that were very patient. See, patience comes in. Thank God they had it and helpful. And we ended up building like a spectacular building. Chris Meyer and Associate was our architect, and they were so kind and talk about patient. They were very patient with us. We went through lots and lots of renditions of what we were going to do, and it ended up being the perfect space. It's perfect.
So as you and your staff are facing this like seemingly insurmountable moment in time, what did you say to them to motivate them? How did you lift them up? I mean, I'm sure they were looking to you like, what are we going to do, Dee?
Yeah. Yeah, we had a lot of that. I just wanted them to know that we were all in it together. And that's pretty much good leadership, in my opinion. You're all in it together. I'm not the leader. We're all in this together. And my job is for everybody else to be successful. And I'm going to work as hard as I need to work to get this done. But it was hard. I won't say that it wasn't hard, but it was hard because there was so much more work that each person had to do just to keep the organization operational. Like again, we'd never planted a garden, and all of a sudden we have this huge garden and we're pulling weeds and, we're doing things like, okay, but we were all in it together. I think that really helped, and everybody saw the goal on the other end of it, what we were going to come up with when we were done. And everybody worked toward that goal, and everybody was excited, and we all knew that it was the thing that we needed to do. and we were proud of it. That was the biggest thing. We were all proud of everything that we were doing.
Absolutely.
But it was hard.
I'm sure it was. When things are hard like that, and you're getting up in the morning and you're okay, I got to get ready, got to get out the door, I got to go do this again. What do you tell yourself? How do you talk to yourself? What are the things that our brains are always talking to ourselves, right? Like there's always things. How do you do it?
I really like what I do. So I don't know that I have a morning that I wake up and I'm like, I don't want to go do this, because I've been lucky to get, myself into careers that I like what I do.
Mm-hmm.
So I like going to the office, and I like seeing families, and I like the people that I work with. And it's fun seeing the place grow, and it's fun, all the changes that we make. So I don't have a lot of that. Now, if there's work that at the end of the day, it's sometimes you're just like, I'm tired.
Mm-hmm.
I got to put this away. And I have staff with the same thing. Like they're tired of something they're working on. You got to put it away. I just tell people, you know what? It's going to be here tomorrow. Nobody's taking your work. Go ahead and go home and have some fun at home tonight with your family.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, I think everybody that works at the Ronald McDonald House loves it.
You can feel that.
You're not getting paid a lot, so they're not coming there for money.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just such a good, heartwarming place to be.
Do you ever feel lonely at the top? Do you ever feel lonely as a leader? Because I do sometimes.
Yeah.
Like it can be. They say that for a reason, right?
Yes.
So,
yes.
What do you do? What do you do when you feel that loneliness?
That's probably the worst part of being in the role that I'm in is
mm-hmm.
sometimes you feel a little lonely because you have to do the hard things.
Mm-hmm.
You have to do the hard stuff that nobody wants to do. If there's some sort of issue among employees, you have to be there to help be the mediator with that.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody likes to do that kind of stuff.
Right.
But that's what you have to do. And so you can't take sides. You can't ever take sides because you just
mm-hmm.
can't do that.
Right.
So sometimes you feel like your friendships are like, you have to just be cautious about them.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it can be lonely. That's the worst part of it.
So what do you do when you're lonely?
I don't know.
Do you call? Do you phone a friend?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Usually friends. Friends that are peers. I'll talk with them about it because they're going through the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's going through the same thing that's in that position.
It's a little safer too when you call somebody outside of the immediate circle, right? Like you give somebody a quick call and, are you dealing with this too? Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
Yes. In fact, the regional leadership of the Ronald McDonald Houses, we gather quarterly, and it's amazing how a lot of the same topics rise to the top.
A little bit like therapy.
Yeah. Yes. Absolutely.
When you have experienced, leaders in your life, you mentioned 3 that you really, really appreciated. Have you experienced ones that you looked at and said, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to be like that. And if so, can you share a little bit about that?
Yes, absolutely. I have had a person in my life that you're describing.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess it taught me as much as the good leaders taught me. It taught me what to not do and what destroys the culture in an organization, and how the leader can set the culture, and how I've been in nonprofit or government my whole life. So in nonprofit, you've got to be compassionate and you have to have empathy, and you have to have that.
Mm-hmm.
But this person didn't have that, and you could see that it just totally destroyed everything in the organization. And, ultimately I had to make the decision that I can't do this.
Yeah.
And so
Absolutely.
That was the best decision for me personally. And because you can't always change things, you just gotta be okay with walking away.
Yeah. When you walked away, was there like a specific lesson that you took from that, or like something that you, other than the culture, like was there something specific that you were like, I'm going to intentionally do or not do this when I'm in that kind of role?
I walked away saying I will never treat people like I was treated there.
That's fair. That's fair. That's fair. Well, thank you for all of those insights and all of the things that you've shared. We're going to end today with a little rapid fire, fun questionnaire. And so, the first question is, what is your favorite word or phrase?
It's probably good things happen to good people, do good.
Oh, I love that. What's your guilty pleasure?
Garrett's popcorn.
That sounds good.
I can eat a whole bag of it. Large.
What's something that you do every morning?
I spend time with my dog.
What's your dog's name?
Henry.
Aww.
Henry the house dog.
Oh, I've seen Henry. I've met Henry. Yes, he's a very sweet dog.
He's adorable. He's 11.
Really?
Yes. I can't even believe it. And he looks like he's just a puppy.
He does look like a puppy. Acts like a puppy. Who do you fangirl over?
Fangirl or fanboy?
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you what, I have a new person that I really think highly of since this year. His name's Ronald McDonald, and he was an offensive lineman for the Ohio State Buckeyes. And he came to the house last year and said, Can I do stuff for the Ronald McDonald house? And this young man came to the house and did all kinds of things for the families. He brought other players, and he's just got the best soul that ever of anybody I've ever met. He's just genuine, and he's huge. He's huge. He's huge. He's like over 300 pounds, but he is just a puppy dog.
Aww.
Like he even came at Halloween in a Scooby-Doo costume to play. I was just like, wow, you're amazing.
That's awesome. Yeah. We'd love to hear those stories.
He's amazing.
When you were 6 years old, what did you want to be when you grew up?
A vet. I wanted to be a veterinarian.
That jives, right?
Until I got to Ohio State and realized how hard school was.
Oh, yes. That veterinarian school is a whole nother level.
Right.
Yeah. What is one word that you hope your employees use to describe you?
Positive.
I think they would definitely describe you as positive. I would describe you as positive.
Thank you.
What is something you're grateful for today?
That I got to come down here and spend some time with you and see this beautiful place.
Well, I'm so grateful that you could.
To know you better.
Absolutely. Yeah. What's something that brings you joy?
My family.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for being here, Dee. Thank you for all of your wisdom and experiences. And I know that the folks listening and watching will have become wiser for it. So thank you.
Thanks for having me.
So for today's notes in the margins, I wrote down several things that Dee shared with us. The first is that when you are feeling down or things get dark, and we've heard this from other leaders, is to get back to the mission. Find the place where you can reconnect with your purpose and why you're really doing what you do, what fills your cup, what gets you up in the morning. We've heard that again several times from others. So clearly it is a good best practice for leaders. The second is to practice the pause. I've read many things about the difference between reacting to something and responding to something. And in my own leadership journey, I've really learned about that and tried to get better at practicing that pause. And the third was from her mentors in her life. And there were really three things that she took from them. One was the importance of relationships. The second is passion. And the third is perseverance. And I think when you combine those relationships, passion, and perseverance, you really get, again, to the heart of best practices, best attributes for leaders. So I'm sure you had your own notes in the margins, but those are mine. And thank you for being here today. Whether you're a leader, a listener, or both, we want you to experience joy with us. Subscribe to Leading Joyfully wherever you get your podcasts, and be sure to follow us on Instagram and YouTube as well.